Syntax error, Payday 3's first DLC, if we don't include that pre-order bonus that was inexplicably and frustratingly dropped at a not-so-bargain price last week, is a mixed bag. My conclusion is that overall, its content is of high quality, but just not worth the exorbitant price tag it launched with the one caveat being the Syntax Error weapon pack seeming to hold its own from a value perspective, and boy am I happy to say that yes, the weapon pack is top quality front to back in terms of its weapon designs and animations, but also in its meta viability, dropping 3 mid to top tier guns for their respective categories. None more so than the all-powerful FSA 12 gauge, Payday 3's first semi-auto shotgun that has already added a new and engaging playstyle to the game. Compared to the pump-action Rheinfeld, which is uniquely good at activating grit and edge, or the almighty double-barrel Mosconi, which remains the strongest close-range option in the game, the FSA is a beast when it comes to sweeping through entire waves of cops almost effortlessly. As a single-shot weapon, I'm actually more inclined to compare this thing to the SA Marksman Rifle, offering some similar one-shot potential to players with good enough aim, but also encouraging a more spammy playstyle for those of us who just want the satisfaction of tearing through heists at 100 miles per hour. With a few skill combos and the right approach to combat, this shotgun enables some of the most aggressive plays I've been able to execute in Payday 3 so far, bearing in mind how passivity is currently the optimal approach on overkill, especially after recent difficulty tweaks. It really is a breath of fresh air, actually worthy of comparison to the almighty god of fire and forget Payday, the once meta king that was the ISMA 12 gauge, just with a few more mouse clicks required. What I think makes this weapon so strong is how Payday 3's wave spawn logic has changed, meaning you're often only facing down groups of 3 to 5 SWATs at most, compared to the 10 plus enemy groups you'd run into in Payday 2. This means a single mag of the FSA can comfortably mow through an entire spawn group with juice to spare. Here's my build if you want to emulate these results. Starting with how we modify the FSA itself, I found that a gunslinger style hipfire focus was my best bet, equipping the ranged barrel, this weapon's final unlock at level 26, the quick pull mag, which I think is the sweet spot of mag size and reload speed, the TQ stock as recoil control is more important on this quick firing weapon than you might initially expect, the compact RDS sight as this one only provides benefits for non-ADSing builds, the 12 gauge event compensator, although I had a fair bit of success with the 12 gauge sediment choke whilst leveling this thing up as well, the biofit grip as we don't want to hurt hipfire spread, and the stub grip for virtually the same reason. I find that horizontal recoil is easier to handle than vertical kick in general. Without being able to make use of proving grounds at the moment, after the farce with the old heist selector mod, it's tough to showcase or even test the difference these changes can make to the weapon's time to kill or one-shot kill range, which is why I'd love to see a Call of Duty style shooting range added to the game. It'd hardly be the first time they'd borrowed from that franchise anyway. In any case, I digress. This means my weapon setup is essentially a product of my own empirical testing in a fairly uncontrolled environment, so your own mileage may vary as you test out the different attachment options. Moving on to the secondary, this is just my usual hipfire Castigo setup, comfortably one of the best weapons in the game, modified with the ranged barrel, box RDS sight, biofit grip and parted compensator. It's a staple in this build due to the Castigo's own incredible ammo efficiency, assisting the FSA in one of its few areas of slight inconsistency, bearing in mind how variable your shots to kill are depending on your aim and range. This thing compensates for that by being a simple one-shot kill, assuming you clip the head. Taking a look at the skill build, here's where it gets really interesting. Starting in Moa, I find it hard to play without ammo, funnel and replenish at this point, as they simply allow me to fire more shots down range without reloading and worry about scurrying around for ammo. In Tank, we pick up extra plates and armor up, despite its nerf. I still think this skill is invaluable in armor builds and still well worth grabbing. Moving down to Sharpshooter, we simply grab the base skill alongside Cutting Shot for that all-important armor penetration stat, and in Enforcer, the shotgun focus tree, we pick up Face to Face to increase close range one-shot potential, Combat Reload to keep grit and edge up, and Shock and Awe, one of the most underrated skills in the game that synergizes perfectly with any shotgun playstyle, but particularly with the FSA, where you'll be looking to challenge large groups for sustained periods without taking cover, at which point the stun effect will save you plates worth of armor. The pivotal skill tree for this build is Gunslinger, which we ace out for endless edge uptime, before grabbing from the hip and heavy hipfire, another incredible skill that makes this build tick. With hipfire now causing heavy stagger, you're guaranteed to be able to enter any and all gunfights so long as you're slinging lead at them first, as they'll still be reeling by the time the second kill shot lands. Quick Draw is just an enabler of Gunslinger, which you can let to drop if you don't mind a slower switch speed. Finally, we head down to the recently added Transporter skill line to pick up Beast of Burden, Deep Pockets, and Powerlifter. These 4 skills have become staples in basically all my personal builds, as they simply help out the team too much to be ignored. Grabbing 2 bags at once is game changing, and having 2 extra plates of armor is also worth the investment, although I will say not all heists in the game benefit from the bag carrying. Sometimes I'm inclined to drop Powerlifter and Beast of Burden and use those spare points in Tactician and Coup de Grace for 10% extra damage against stunned targets, increasing that 2-shot probability even at longer ranges. Your call if you want a slightly stronger weapon but less overall objective potential. Finally, we run the HET5 Red Fox for Dose of Destruction, the medium ballistic lining as I now believe that 3 plate is the sweet spot, especially when playing solo, the armor bag, flashbangs for shields, and whatever tool you want to bring along for the heist you're currently taking on. I'm guessing ECMs are going to become a lot more popular once the techies are rolled out across all maps. Switching back over to gameplay, this thing really excels at close range where you can control your one-shot kill ability with a concentrated headshot, or at medium range where you can land consistent body shots and still maintain a fairly decent time to kill. Don't be afraid to take shots from further away with this setup. It can hurt your ammo sustain, but it will often reduce return damage coming your way thanks to heavy hipfire's stun effect, and the FSA's damage drop-off isn't as extreme as you might initially anticipate, especially bearing in mind most Payday 3 heists take place within reasonably tight corridors or densely covered interior spaces. With my slightly lighter armor, I feel more comfortable rushing and especially sliding into gunfights even without that cover, as the run and stun playstyle enabled by skills like Shock and Awe allows you to sprint headlong into danger whilst also controlling the damage returned to you by essentially suppressing entire crowds better than virtually any other weapon in the game. It's a very Ziv Commando style of play, except the FSA can actually drop enemies instead of just knocking them on their asses. Getting within about 5 meters of the SWATs also opens you up to that one-shot kill potential, which feels so crucial in Payday 3 when it comes to maintaining your ammo economy and preventing incoming retaliation damage entirely. It's why the SA and VF7S have been top tier on pretty much everyone's weapon tier list, and I'm happy to say that the FSA can actually hit the same one-shot threshold, although it's under quite specific circumstances. This is why we build our shotgun with such tight hip-fire accuracy, as it enables us to land critical headshot mass pellets when up close and personal, rewarding a more precision-orientated playstyle, but still allowing you to go for those meat shots for a guaranteed and consistent 2-shot kill whenever you're up against it. As I mentioned previously, one of the FSA's only weaknesses is its less than stellar ammo pickup rate, only maintaining its ammo count or going positive if you're landing 1 or 2 shot kills, meaning it's pivotal you throw in a few one-shots to keep things afloat. Again, this is why we're running the Castigo as highly competent secondary cover on this build, and also why you can't just ever completely switch your brain off and spam full ISMA style, as Payday 3's tighter ammo economy balance will punish you for it. In particular, shields can present a problem, as they do for most shotgun builds to be honest, and bulldozers in particular feel tough to get on top of, with the high spike damage of the Mosconi being vastly preferred to the FSA's sustained damage over time, which more often than not leads to them unloading their shotgun right back into you, scything through your armor far quicker than you will theirs. Even after the buffs to the Mamba, this is why I recommend the Red Fox, as you already have all the crowd control and group damage you need with the FSA in your hands. Also with this weapon, staying mobile is key, as you don't want to get bogged down in one location, keeping the cops moving around the heist and taking care of them in flurries of group combat when the terrain favours you and the shotgun playstyle. In conclusion, I'd say from a unique playstyle perspective, the FSA 12 gauge is the absolute highlight of this weapon DLC, and even update in my opinion. I've had a blast using this thing across all heists and think Payday 3 was always well suited to this hybrid spray and pray, aggressive sort of weapon. It might not have the versatility of the War, which is also a top-notch addition in the SMG category, but what it can do, it does exceptionally well, flattening entire waves of SWATs and a barrage of stun animations and satisfying ragdolls. My sort of weapon. Overall, when I look at the recent DLC, I'm absolutely positive the weapon pack is where almost all of the value lies. At $2 a weapon, I feel I've got my money's worth out of these things in-game already, but I'm still struggling to wrap my head around the pricing policy of just about everything else added in Update 3. Let me know how you're finding everything following the update, by the way. Is the balance of free to paid content acceptable at the moment? Are the new weapons keeping you occupied as they are me? And do you find a sudden urge to rage quit the heist anytime you hear the techies' drones start to spin up on syntax error? After more testing, these things are busted, and I believe reinforce the worst elements of Payday 3's combat as they deal so much damage. If you spend time seeking out the techie on harder difficulties as intended, you'll end up a lot worse off than if you just bunker down and enter passive tower defense mode. rant at the new enemy's expense over. I hope you've enjoyed this video, I hope you're having a fantastic holiday season, and stay tuned, one more festive gift coming your way before the year is through. Take care, I'll see you soon in the next video. A huge thank you to my dedicated Patreon backers. If you want to join this crew in going infamous, check out the link below and pledge as little as $2 to see your name in the credits, or get 24-hour early access to future videos and vote on upcoming content. Take care, I'll see you all soon.